This is the Scorecard, where you score the latest sports news and in-depth views. I'm Jing Jamlang. On the Scorecard tonight, Hulk Hogan, wrestling world rocked as legend passes away at 71. Tributes pour in. O'Connor conquers Tour de France stage 18. Pogačar tightens yellow grip. Stage 19 cut short by cattle disease. Wong and Trinidad honored as flag bearers for 2025 World Games in Chengdu. Quentin Millora-Brown gearing up for clash with Gilas. Asian Open Figure Skating Trophy 2025 lights up SM Skating MOA. Manila Melmac returns to FIBA 3x3 World Tour chasing Olympic dreams. In Major League Baseball, Rodríguez, Arozarena, Polanco go deep as Mariners sink Angels 4-2. In the WNBA, Fever outlast Aces. Clutch win locks crucial tiebreaker in WNBA playoff race 80-70. And still following the developments on the proposed Torre versus Duterte boxing match, our sports correspondent Gilas interviewed Games and Amusement Board Chairman Francisco Rivera, who issued a resolution to lock in safety and fair play. All the headlines and more on the Scorecard tonight, the 25th of July. Now here's our roundup. The wrestling world stands divided as Hulkamania's unstoppable force takes its final bow, leaving behind a legacy both celebrated and scarred. Terry Bollea, known to millions as Hulk Hogan, passed away in a Florida hospital after suffering cardiac arrest, bringing an end to an era that defined professional wrestling. The 6'7" Titan, with his trademark bandana and iconic leg drop, turned wrestling into a global phenomenon, headlining WrestleManias and carrying the WWE through its 80s boom. A three-time WWE champion, blockbuster movie star, and WWE Hall of Fame inductee, Hogan's larger-than-life charisma made him a household name. Tributes from legends like Ric Flair and Kurt Angle remember him as a pioneer who inspired generations. And in his later years, Hogan embraced political controversy, aligning himself with Donald Trump and making headlines for questioning Vice President Kamala Harris's race. Then O'Connor roared back into the spotlight, claiming a spectacular solo win on the Queen stage, up Col de la Loz and sealing his Tour de France redemption. Tadej Pogačar dropped Jonas Vingegaard in the final meters, snagged second place and a bonus, and stretched his lead to 4 minutes 26 seconds with Paris fast approaching. But drama struck again. Stage 19 has been cut from 129.9 to just 95 kilometers after a cattle disease outbreak forced organizers to scrap the climb of Col de Cèze. The ceremonial start in Albertville stands, with riders rejoining the route near Beaufort after a delayed launch. With just 3 stages left, the GC battle stays fiery as O'Connor's triumph and Pogačar's dominance set the tone for a high-stakes final week. Meanwhile, Quentin Millora-Brown, former University of the Philippines standout, is set to go head-to-head with Gilas Pilipinas as he suits up for the Macau Black Bears in a friendly showdown at Smart Araneta Coliseum. The Filipino-American big man, who made waves in the U.S. with Vanderbilt and the Citadel, powered UP to a UAAP Season 87 championship, posting 14 points and 9 rebounds in the finals to dethrone LaSalle. The Black Bears announced his signing ahead of their Gilas send-off game for the FIBA Asia Cup 2025 qualifiers, with Millora-Brown coming off a dominant 20-point, 17-rebound debut in a 121-105 win over the Aces in the Asian tournament in China. Now, recently classified as a naturalized player, Millora-Brown once vowed to play for Gilas, making this matchup an emotional and highly anticipated test for the former UP star. The stage is set for national pride as Agatha Wong and Raphael Trinidad have been officially named flag bearers for Team Philippines at the 2025 World Games. taking place on August 7 to 17 in Chengdu, China. The announcement came from Philippine Olympic Committee President Abraham Bambol Tolentino during Friday's executive board meeting in Tagaytay City, sealing the honor for two of the country's elite athletes. Wong, a five-time SEA Games gold medalist and podium finisher at both the 2023 World Combat Games and Hangzhou Asian Games, will lead the nation's campaign in the women's Taiji Chuan and Taiji Jian combined wushu event. Trinidad, a 24-year-old Cebuano and reigning Asia and Oceania cable wakeboard and wake skate champion, earned his berth by dominating January's continental meet in Angeles, Pampanga. With the world watching, Team Philippines marches into Chengdu united, determined to wave the flag high and bring home glory. The ice is about to erupt as the Asian Open Figure Skating Trophy 2025 takes over SM Skating Mall of Asia, bringing together the finest skaters across the continent for 5 days of pure magic on August 1 to 5. Sanctioned by the International Skating Union and the Asian Skating Union, this prestigious tournament opens the 2026 Winter Olympic season, featuring over 170 elite athletes from 19 countries. Expect electrifying performances from powerhouse nations South Korea, China, and Kazakhstan, alongside emerging talents from the Philippines, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Hosted by the Philippine Skating Union with support from the ISU Development Commission, Philippine Sports Commission, the event showcases the country's ability to host world-class international competitions and highlights Filipino hospitality. The Asian Open is a national selection event for the 2026 Olympic qualifying pool and the 2025 Southeast Asian Games, making every performance a potential career-defining moment. And here's great news for 3x3 Hoops fans. Manila Melmac is back on the global stage, ready to hoist the Philippine flag in the FIBA 3x3 World Tour circuit. The squad, led by former Philippine #1 Mac Talio alongside Matthew Salem, Christian Manaytay, and Benini's import Adishokan Odu, was unveiled to the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, with coaches Mau Belen and Chico Lanete calling the shots. SBP Executive Director Erica D stressed the bigger picture, earning crucial tour points to boost the country's ranking and keep the Olympic door wide open. As part of their final prep, Manila Melmac swept the 2025 half-court courtside fair at Okada, Manila, taking down Baguio Highlanders, Taho Story, and the host team. Next up, the FIBA 3x3 Jakarta Challenger on July 26 to 27, where they'll face Mataro of Spain and Bucharest Stinta of Romania in the qualifying round, with a golden ticket to the Lausanne Masters on the line. In Major League Baseball, Julio Rodríguez, Randy Arozarena, and Jorge Polanco all launched homers as the Seattle Mariners powered past the Los Angeles Angels 4-2. Rodríguez, who also swiped third in the first inning, became the first player in MLB history to record at least 15 homers and 20-plus stolen bases in each of his first 4 seasons. His solo blast off Yusei Kikuchi put Seattle on the board. Arozarena followed with a 2-run shot to give the Mariners a 3-1 lead in the 5th. Logan Evans, the 24-year-old rookie, delivered 5 strong innings, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits for his 4th win, while Andres Munoz locked down his 23rd save. The Angels struck early with a Mike Trout double and a Nolan Shanuel RBI single. Zach Neto added another run in the 7th, but sadly, it wasn't enough. In the WNBA, the Indiana Fever just dealt Las Vegas another blow, an 80-70 victory at Gainbridge Fieldhouse that could define their playoff destiny. Kelsey Mitchell poured in 21 points, while Natasha Howard dominated with 18 points and 13 boards. And Aaliyah Boston added a 13-point, 10-rebound double-double. The Fever, now 13-12, secured the season series 2-1 over the Aces, gaining a critical tiebreaker that could decide who makes the playoffs. They also hold the edge over Atlanta, currently 5th at 14-10. Howard powered through contact, grabbed 5 offensive rebounds, and even drained a rare triple to help Indiana keep control. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark missed her 3rd straight game with a right groin injury, but team doctors confirmed no further damage. Indiana heads to Chicago this weekend, knowing every game from here on out could spell the difference between the postseason and going home early. And here's your daily dose of sports lingo. What makes the camel spin a legendary move in ice skating? The camel spin is one of the most iconic and challenging spins in figure skating. It is performed with the skater balancing on one leg while extending the free leg parallel to the ice, creating a shape that resembles the hump of a camel. This spin requires exceptional balance, core strength, and edge control to maintain speed and centering through multiple rotations. Mastering the camel spin is considered a major milestone in a skater's journey, a true test of grace and athleticism on the ice. Now it's time for our off-court buzzer. The world of sports is buzzing as top governing bodies across the globe unveil sweeping new policies that bar transgender women from competing in female categories, reigniting debate on fairness and inclusion. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee now mandates compliance with a federal executive order, impacting all 50 of its national governing bodies. While the NCAA has limited women's competition to athletes assigned female at birth. World Athletics, World Aquatics, and the International Cycling Union have also tightened rules, most banning trans women who underwent male puberty. World Boxing is imposing mandatory sex testing. British football and cricket governing bodies have outlawed trans women from female teams. And at least 25 U.S. states now ban transgender students from girls' sports. As the dust settles, one question remains. How will these sweeping bans reshape the future of fair play, inclusion, and competition on the global stage? And what's your take? Do these new rules protect the integrity of women's sports, or do they unfairly shut the door on transgender athletes? And that's our roundup for tonight, the 25th of July. Up next, if you have been following the developments on the proposed Torre versus Duterte boxing match, our sports correspondent Sheila Saraysay has this exclusive interview with Games and Amusements Board Chairman Francisco Rivera, who issued a resolution to lock in safety and fair play. You really wouldn't want to miss that, so better keep it here on the Scorecard. Welcome back to the Scorecard. It's a grudge match for the ages. The Baste versus Torre boxing match is a potential fist fight that the nation has been talking about. Now, the country's Games and Amusement Board Chairman Francisco Rivera has weighed in on the potential blockbuster matchup. Here's our sports correspondent Sheila Saraysay with an exclusive interview.
As public interest intensifies over the proposed boxing match between Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte and PNP Chief Police General Nicolas Torre III, the Games and Amusements Board, the agency responsible for sports in the country, has stepped in to clarify its stance.
Paano ba na-involve ang GAB in this situation?
We were informed about the match because it's all over the let's just say media. We saw it on YouTube, on TV, so it's widely covered. And since this kind of match does not have a regular supervisory body, we thought that we could participate and provide some order into this proposed match. That's why we came in and we passed a board resolution. In effect, we're offering our expertise to regulate the match.
I saw the resolution, but can you walk us through briefly ano ba yung mga key points or conditions outlined in this resolution?
The number one concern here would be the safety of the participants. So for this, we can assign a referee, and at the same time, we can deploy to the match or to the venue our medical personnel, just in case they would be needed.
While many see the potential bout as a spectacle or even a publicity stunt, regulatory authorities are now getting involved to address a more pressing concern. Is this match legal? And is it safe?
But Chairman Rivera, yung if tama ang alam ko, ang knowledge ko about the games and amusement sport, you allow professionals, right? Professional matches, whether it's boxing or basketball or esports perhaps. Pero this is different itong match na to. But ano ba yung how can I say? Bakit nyo naisipan to come up with a resolution just for this one? And is it allowed talaga? Do you supervise this kind of how can I say, matches per se?
Our jurisdiction is actually limited to professional sports. But we see this, meaning the proposed match, as something that's important. Because involved here would be matters like physical fitness and being mentally alert to go into these matches. And even if we do not have compulsory or meaning mandatory jurisdiction over this match, we passed a resolution that's premised on the voluntary consent of the parties. That's why it's expressly stated in our resolution that we could come in upon the request of the parties. If they don't agree for us to assist them in the proposed match, then we could not force ourselves in and regulate the match. We would be out of it. Now, of course, you also asked a question regarding the legal aspect to it. In so many words, is the proposed match legal? We looked into it, and the answer definitely is yes. It is legal because if the parties consent, then they could engage into this kind of activity. And there is no risk of either criminal or civil liability. In law, there is a maxim which is in Latin, volante non fit injuria. You cannot inflict an injury to one who consents. That's the entire basis for this match. And since this is perfectly legal, and if the parties would so request us, then we could assist them. That's the entire premise for our participation here.
While both parties have shown interest in pushing through with the match, the PNP chief himself confirmed that a 12-round bout has been scheduled for Sunday at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum, even allowing members of the press witness his pre-fight training, and photos of the venue being set up have been circulating online. No formal requests have been submitted.
How does GAB classify this bout? What will be the requirements if they will agree?
There are no specific requirements because this is outside of our regular jurisdiction. It's just like neighbors agreeing to a friendly boxing match. So again, no specific requirements.
I see. Will there be any legal, let's say, risk involved kung sakaling nag-push through yung match pero walang, walang GAB?
To our mind, the beauty of the games and amusement sport coming in is that it would be able to volunteer its expertise. For example, we have referees who are world class. They officiate international bouts. Now, without GAB, probably it could descend, meaning the proposed match could descend into a street brawl, which would not be enjoyable to watch. With GAB, there could be some order in the match.
What began as a dare has escalated into a national controversy. Representative Paulo Duterte, brother of Mayor Baste, is urging PNP Chief Torre to sign a waiver clearing Baste of liability and to take a drug test, also calling for mandatory drug testing for all officials, including President Marcos. As the fight draws near, the issue has sparked debates on accountability, legality, and public messaging, turning the match into a legal and political spectacle.
Do you have any message, kumbaga, sa ating dalawang individuals na to and to the public about this situation?
If they'll go through this exercise, the Games and Amusements Board is ready to provide them with the framework to ensure a clean and exciting fight.
Reporting for the Scorecard, Sheila Salaysay, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Up next, two teams at a crossroads. Kelsey Mitchell is taking charge in Clark's absence, but can Chicago bounce back without Reese? Pressure's mounting, momentum's up for grabs, so stay locked in to keep your eyes on the prize. Welcome back to the Scorecard. It's time to keep your eyes on the prize. While the Midwest might feel muggy this time of year, things are scorching on the WNBA hardwood. We're setting the stage for an Eastern Conference tilt that has playoff implications and emotional weight. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. But first, let's catch you up. Indiana just snapped a 2-game skid with a gutsy win over the Las Vegas Aces without Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell played like the vet she is, dropping 21 points and steadying the offense. Natasha Howard and Aaliyah Boston, a tag team of trouble, both with double-doubles. Defense locked in. It wasn't flashy, but it was fierce, and it reminded everyone that this Fever team has multiple gears and multiple stars. Meanwhile, in the Windy City, Chicago was hit by a storm. And we mean that quite literally. Seattle outscored them by 38 points. Let that sink in. No Angel Reese, no rhythm, no resistance. Dominique Malonga and Skylar Diggins lit it up while Chicago struggled to get a single clean look. Their third quarter drought, one made field goal in over 7 minutes. Painful. Now, for Monday, here's what we're watching. Natasha Howard versus Camila Cardoso. Old school power versus new gen length. Cardoso's coming off a 13-13 game, but Howard's playing with a fire that screams veteran urgency. Kelsey Mitchell versus Rachel Banham. Banham can shoot, but Mitchell, she's built for these tight road games where every possession matters. And what about Aaliyah Boston? Chicago struggled to guard the pick and roll last game. Boston's going to feast if those closeouts come late. And yes, still no Caitlin Clark. That's huge, but it's also revealing. The Fever have shown they're more than just a headline. They've built trust in each other. They're moving the ball. They're playing like a team that knows it's got something to prove without their biggest name on the floor. So Indiana will try to speed up the pace early, using Howard and Boston to dominate the glass. Chicago's challenge? Keep the energy high without Reese and avoid the collapse we saw against Seattle. If Indiana gets hot from outside, especially with Cunningham and Mitchell, they might run away with this one. But if Cardoso anchors the paint and Banham gets going from deep, the Sky could turn this into a slugfest. Stay ahead of the game as the WNBA playoff picture shifts with every possession. Two teams, one pressure-packed clash. Here's your full court breakdown ahead of weekend to Monday showdown. And that's a wrap on our Fever Sky preview. One team hungry for momentum, the other desperate for a reset. The intensity is rising, the margins are thin, so tune in, lock in, and keep your eyes on the prize. And here's our breaking news. The San Miguel Beermen roar back to glory, defeating TNT Tropangiga in a thrilling Game 6 to capture, Game 7 rather, to capture the PBA 49th Philippine Cup title with a commanding 4-3 series win, 107-96. TNT's hopes of a rare Grand Slam were crushed as the Beermen's unstoppable firepower and championship heart brought the crown back to San Miguel, marking yet another golden era for the franchise and its loyal fans. Congratulations and cheers to the Beermen. Before we go, think on this. From one of Great Britain's most electrifying endurance athletes who has seamlessly blended speed, stamina, and strategy in both triathlon and distance running, Alex Yee once said, "I am adapting my training to stay mentally fresh. I prioritize mindset-driven growth over rigid long-term plans." And with that, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week on The Scorecard, where sports is our business and business is our sport. On the Bilyonaryo News Channel, this is Jing Jamlang. Have a blessed evening.